My friends, welcome to our Sunday gathering. We're so grateful you're here. And yes, you saw that right, dedicating this to my dad. It was 15 years ago, in about 1 hour's time, that he took his last breath here on earth and took his first breath in the spirit world, joined by families, friends, pets, and all of that. Dad, I love you. I know you're still around. And it's a bittersweet day for me. Let me just tell you that last song was the song that kept me alive after Dad passed. It was a real tough time, not just having him pass, but as many of you know, oh, the families can fight when a loved one dies. And the relationships with my siblings were severed, and it was just awful. It was rock bottom for me. I played that song hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times just to remind me, don't give up. I am loved. And that's the message we have for all, because I'm not alone with a loved one in the spirit world. Our dads may be over there, our moms, our grandparents, our children, our brothers and sisters, nieces, nephews, pets. And we want desperately to know that they're still alive. And so we're in our 6th year now of celebrating our Sunday gathering, giving you the best we've got to let you know that your loved ones live on. They're still part of your life. You will see them again. Don't ever give up. And most importantly, you are loved. So I'm so grateful to be with you on the Sunday gatherings. Today, I'm joined by my wonderful friend, Darren Wynn, also wonderful friend and excellent medium, Tim Southwell. So we're here together for about 90 minutes time-ish to celebrate our Sunday gathering. So a shout out to all that celebrate Mother's Day today. Whether you're a mom or you've done some mothering, you know who you are. This is your day. I know there's some areas of the world that have already celebrated Mother's Day on the 21st of April, but we're going to just celebrate it again. So today we don't really have a theme. Whatever is in your heart, whatever is in Darren's heart, whatever is in Tim's heart, in my heart, I'm thinking about my dad. I've got my mom in the next room. She wants to have a turkey dinner on Mother's Day. So she's preparing the turkey. Mother gets what mother wants. So I am really grateful that my mom is here. Of course, your moms, whether they're on this side of the life or on the other side, they're with you as well. So let me just tell you a little bit about who's doing what on our Sunday gathering, and then we'll get this show on the road, okay? Darren is so kindly going to be doing our opening prayer and leading us into healing. We're not going to do a reading today, just so we have a little bit more time for our address. All three of us will be sharing in the address. Tim will be going first, and then Darren and myself. Tim will be doing our demonstration of mediumship for us today, of course, with the address as well. And then also our closing prayer. You'll have me for the announcements and those little bits at the end that I so like to do. And then also for the music and the behind the scenes. Whatever it is that brought you to the Sunday gathering, please know you're amongst a group. Usually we get between 100, 150, sometimes more than that, people from around the world. You've already seen that our chat box is open. Many people have said hello. We love that. Even though we're separated by computer screens or cell phones or tablets, we are a very real community, and we are so grateful that you're here. So let's just call today words from the heart. We're going to just go with our inspiration, with our loved ones, and we welcome you. So I'm going to turn it over to my dear friend, Darren, for our opening prayer and then lead us into healing. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you for that introduction, Sandra, and a massive hello to each and every one of you, and happy Mother's Day to all those out there that take on that role as mother in whatever capacity that may be. So I'm going to start us off with today's opening prayer. So if you'd all like to join me for today's opening prayer. We come together here today as friends, brothers and sisters from across our globe, each and every one of us coming together here today in love, peace and harmony, unifying as one under that banner of We Don't Die. As we unite here today, we come together here with no demands or no expectations, but allow our friends, helpers and loved ones from that world we call unseen to express their thoughts and words through the minds of our workers here today, for all ears to listen and absorb, to bring us those moments of joy, healing and upliftment once again. As we gather here today, we do so in a knowing and understanding that each and every one of us comes here today as an equal and will be treated as an equal. For we know there is no prejudice or discrimination within that world we call unseen. Each and every one of us will get to experience the joy and celebration of uniting the two worlds together as one once again, and allow ourselves to be immersed in that unconditional love and that healing balm as we allow ourselves to fall back in the arms of eternity once again. We'd like to express our sincere thanks and gratitude to all those in the unseen world for being here with us week in and week out for our Sunday gatherings, and for allowing us to walk hand in hand, side by side each week, and allowing us to share your words and thoughts to make a positive impact to all of mankind. Each and every one of us does this to the best of our own knowledge and the best of our own experience and understanding, and we truly hope we are making a difference here today. So as we open up our Sunday gathering, we do so as always with positivity within our mind, smiles upon our faces, and love in abundance, so that we truly can create that perfect meeting ground in which the two worlds can come together once again. And we ask as always that that healing light continues to shine to all four corners of our world, to bring that love, that joy, and that peace to all those hearts and minds that may be in need on this day. So without further ado, my friends, we welcome you here today. Amen. So we're now going to go straight into our healing segment, and Sandra's chosen one of my favourite songs, The Prayer, sung by two wonderful singers. But as we go into our healing segment today, I just want us all, as we come together as one, just to send our thoughts out to all those leaders across our worlds, to bring some calm to all those minds. For every time I turn on a box nowadays, there's always a new escalation, a new war seeming to start and escalate. So I think we need to send our positive thoughts and love to all those minds. But in doing so, think of those loved ones around you that may be in need at this time, but also yourselves. So there's nothing more powerful than when we come together here on the Sunday gathering and unify as one. And we can't even begin to describe the power we can create as one for that spirit world to use for healing wherever it may be needed. So as you listen to this song, just send those intents and those thoughts of love and joy to the world, and let's see what great things we can do together.
Wow, beautiful music today. Thank you so much, Sandra, for picking those. It's real. I'm not a swaying person, but for some reason today I'm swaying back and forth. But absolutely wonderful. And hi, everybody again. And it's great to be back. And happy Mother's Day. I like the expression Mothering Day. That was something that was relatively new to me just in the last couple of years, because across the pond, often that's what it's referred to, mothering. I love that because we have mothers, we have those who are like mothers. We have those who are trying to be mothers and those who have tried to be mothers. And this mothering encapsulates all of them. And sometimes people are mothering even just to friends of theirs and other people that they may know. So I do like that expression, and I wish all of you a happy Mothering Day and Mother's Day as well. Today, I was, as Sandra said, this is kind of a little free topic, so it will kind of meander maybe a bit. Me meander, yeah. So this morning I was going to pick up my mom to take her to church, and as I was driving in the car, I remembered words from this week from two tutors who you might be quite familiar with from the gathering. And their words this week was that thoughts are things. And I thought, so thoughts are real, thoughts are things. And the first thing I thought was, oh boy, am I in a lot of trouble. Sometimes I can edit what I'm about to say, but then what I'm thinking might be a little bit more harsher. Uh, so I thought, okay, part of that problem is being just a little bit judgy. And I thought, yeah, there's that expression, right? Judge not lest ye be judged, which is really important because it has lest and ye in it. You know, whenever you have those words, you really have to pay attention. And I thought, what a silly statement. I judged the phrase judge not. So I thought, okay, I've got to get out of this mindset. It's a beautiful day out. It's where I live. The trees are just coming out in leaves. The flowering trees, they've already started to blossom nicely. A beautiful drive, completely sunny out. And as I took note of that, that almost had that feeling, maybe you've experienced that too, wash over me. And I had to be careful because I was driving, but I was looking out of the window and just admiring how there's a certain green that only occurs in spring. I think you might know what I mean. It's kind of a yellowish green. It almost, to me, it reminds me of what it must be like on the other side, actually, where the greens are just vibrant in this time of year. And so that started to change my mind a bit. Flip me over to, okay, well, is my argument's always judging is good because you don't want to go meet a stranger and offer them money or whatever. You need to have that kind of discernment is what popped in my head. And I went, okay, yep, okay. Stick to the not judgmental. Let's be a little bit more open-minded. It is Sunday and it is Mother's Day. Let's be a little bit more positive about that. So as I basically absorbed this wonderful greenery as I was driving, I was thinking, okay, picking up mom, what would I say is the one word that encapsulates my mom? And I even managed to not get my thoughts going into something funny, just to be funny. Instead, I thought, okay, well, honestly, what is there? Because I don't know about you, but when we kind of do our personal development, we look at our family, we look at our mentors, those who have been with us through our life, and we evaluate and we say, okay, well, this is what I learned from that. This is something I need to leave behind. This might have been great. This might have been harsh. We've done that examination. So I thought, okay, no critique here, no judging here. What's the one word that encapsulates mom? And and it didn't take very long. What popped into my head was the word strength. And I thought, yeah, I know exactly why I went to that. Um, Resilience tried to pop into my head, but it was bounced out by strength. Strength was stronger than resilience. How that occurs to me is if I go back into January, and some of you may be aware of this, but at the end of January, my dad passed away. And as Sandra says, her dad and my dad are probably up there chatting away right now. If it's my dad, it's about cars and motorcycles. But there was the day that we had to go into the hospital, and he had passed that night, early morning actually. And I live closest of my siblings to mom, so I picked her up, drove her to the hospital, been there a fair bit during the last week. Um, and it was time to go in and basically say our goodbyes as well. So my mom, who, like, I'm average height, my mom's kind of not wee, but she's definitely smaller than me. She says she used to be the tallest one in her class. I find that a little hard to believe now, but unless she went to Snow White University or something. But she was the tallest one in her class. And she's of an age where there's frailty, of course. But as we got to the elevator that we had seen many times before, she just said, okay, talking to herself, pull it together. And she just inhaled, and that was it. She went through the rest of that. And it can be quite awful emotional experience of what happens going forward from that and setting funerals and notifying and all of that stuff is something else. But with that intake of breath, and she just stepped on the elevator. I was gobsmacked, as you could say. I kept my mouth from about just popping open because I knew mom was strong, but I'd never seen something as solid as that. And I know I was almost staring as she went in the elevator because here I was. If you've gone through the experience, you kind of walk a razor's edge between I'm okay and a crack's going to show and the floods are going to happen. That's the state I was in. Mom just pulled it together, and I thought I've got to follow suit as best as I can. I didn't know if I could, and that's how she handled that day and going forward as well. That that strength was mind-numbing. Whenever I think of that moment, I realize there's so much more that we have inside of us that that will step forward when we need it to. And so I thought, okay, well, that's definitely her. And even today we stopped by the graveside, looked at the flowers, and paid our respects. And we've we've kind of dealt with that, and I'm always watching and maybe being protective, just making sure she's okay. She's still good. She is strong. She goes through it. We check, my siblings and I, that she's fine in between times, but that's her. And I remember that's her mom as well. That was my grandma, very strong. So there's a lineage, and I'm not sure. Hopefully, it dribbles down to me too at some point. But what I was left with at that time was that I might have missed that whole thing, and that memory and memories of our loved ones bring them closer to us. I know that. And I don't just believe that, I know that. And so memories of dad. But even when, say, mom might be in the other town in her house, I know memories when I think of her. Those among the living are things as well, just as thoughts are things. And it brings ourselves closer to each other. And that can be really important. And so, and I thought, you know what, there is something to these thoughts are things, and there is something to that more positive outlook. Oftentimes, when I've talked here, I've said, look at yourself and what's the strength that you have, what's the key core part of you. But when I looked at someone else, I learned so much from that as well. So when I was thinking, it would be so great to pass this kind of idea on to others, kind of pass it on to see how they would work with that, and whether they find the word to describe themselves or the word to describe today their moms, then that would be ideal. And I thought it would be wonderful if that was something that could just go, and mind this word, contagious. So in the proper way of thinking that for today, in a way, I'd like to leave you with that, and that is that maybe there's a way you can be contagious, at least in positivity. And thank you.
Thank you for those lovely words, Tim, and for being so open and sharing your thoughts. It's always a pleasure to hear. And you know what? When Sandra said about having no theme, I was like, oh, for me, that's quite difficult because when you're asked to come up with something or talk about something your own, when there's no theme to talk about as such, it's kind of a bit of a shell shock because we're used to having a theme on here. And I was sat there before we started the Sunday gathering, think, what on earth do I talk about? My brain's going into overdrive and thinking. And I thought, well, the Sunday gathering today's in honor of Sandra's father, John. It's Mothering Day in most countries in the world. Um, oh my God, what do I talk about? And I sat thinking, looking out the window, and like Tim said, in the UK, everything's coming to life. The trees are in blossom, the flowers are coming up, and it was a lovely sunny day. And I kind of just sat here looking out the window just next to me, funny enough, and there's a lovely big tree out there, and it was in full bloom. I could hear the birds, the sun was out, and I was just sat there for I don't know how long. I just kind of went numb looking out at this tree. And I thought, do you know what? And I know we've said it before, the world truly is a beautiful place. The seasons we go through, looking at nature, there's nothing more calming than looking out at this wonderful world that we live in. And I thought, oh, but I'm thinking, what do I talk about? What do I talk about on the Sunday gathering? And I kind of sat there staring out of this tree. And something came to me that Eric, through Scott, kind of mentions quite a lot. And he says, life in this world is the shortest part of your journey. And it kind of got me thinking how short our life on this physical earth really is. And it kind of brought my mind back to a conversation I was having with Scott the other day, because we're making a few changes in our lives. We're at that moment now. We want to do things. We want to change things. We want to move on with things. And we're looking at a mortgage. But where I live in the UK, it's quite an expensive part of the world. And because myself and Scott are self-employed, it makes it very difficult to get a mortgage. And the average mortgage in the UK is 25 years. And it hit me the other day. I said to Scott, I said, do you realize if we get a mortgage, by the time we finish it, I'll be retiring? And it kind of hit me, of my age. I thought, oh my God, I'm that age already. And And I was reading something yesterday because me and Scott watch loads of different TV shows and series, but we always like to look at the characters in the TV shows and what have you. But I'm talking about their real lives and, where they've come from, what they do, all that kind of stuff. And there's a character I liked in one of the TV shows we're watching in a moment. And he's passed away, sadly. And I just happened to look up, this particular character online and started reading about them. And I thought, they passed at the age of 52. That truly is no life that's no life, they're still in their prime. And it kind of got me thinking on this roller coaster. I'm already having this nervous convulsions about, when we get a mortgage and I pay the mortgage off, I'm going to be retired. Then you look at people around us, and we've all got people we've lost in the unseen world. And when you look at the ages and that they've passed and what have you in various conditions, and I thought, do you know what? Life on this world truly is short, really is. And I think we need to make the most of our life within this world. We need to, maximize what we can. And I know we go to live on and we go to experience wonderful things in the unseen world. But my biggest thing is I don't want to leave this world with regrets. I want to do what I can. I want to maximize my physical life as much as I can. And my physical body, because let's be honest, our physical bodies don't go on forever. And before I can't walk any longer or have trouble, pains and what have you. Yeah, I'm already getting them now. But I don't want to be at the point where I regret things. And I started looking at, and I know over the years we talk about different things and we always say it, oh, I wish so and so was here to see it, or I wish so and so was here to experience that. And I know they get to experience it with us from the unseen world, but sometimes you just wish they was here for that physical element, whatever that experience is you're going through at that moment in time. And like me, you get a bit wiser, you learn a bit more as you go through life. And obviously we run an American diner here in the UK. And I'm always saying to my staff, we have one or two that are not how I want them to be with customers, treating customers and how I would expect them to be treated. And I'm always hammering into them about giving good service. And I always say, giving good service is simple. It's you behave how you want to experience behavior. You treat people how you want to be treated. And there's one individual, and I always say to her, are you not exhausted? She goes, why? I said, do you not find it exhausting not giving the best that you can? You don't necessarily give the best. To me, that's exhausting because you're putting on this character, if you like. You're almost going out of your way not to be as pleasant as you could be. The customers pick up on that. They treat you not as pleasant as you could be. And not that it becomes a fight, but you can feel the tension between people when they behave like that. And I say to her sometimes, you must go home exhausted. Because you come to me having a moan about how someone's spoken to you or what they've said. And I always say to you, but they only respond how you treat them. And I say to her, do you know what? For me, I've learned over the years, it's far nicer to be nice, and it is. And it's so much easier to be nice and pleasant than it is the opposite. And I know when I've been a manager in different retail environments, you do get those customers come storming in, they've got an issue or a problem, whatever it may be. And they come storming in and they expect that natural interaction and they expect you to go back at them and start fighting and arguing with them. And I used to say, calm down, tell me what the problem is. And they'll say whatever the issue is, get it off their chest. And 9 times out of 10, just getting that problem off their chest, believe it or not, they straight away they become you can engage with them more. And I remember you used to sit and say to them, right, I'll tell you what we'll do then. Let's get this problem rectified. Let's do, I don't know, whatever the outcome would be. And they used to sit in shock and be taken back by it because they naturally expect that fight, that argument. And I think, no, and then they end up leaving, we've had a laugh and a joke and what have you. And that's how life should be. When you look within the world, there's enough going on. There's enough tensions. There's enough, we can all argue. We want to argue. But I say life's too short. And, when you look back, I'll look back at my life in particular. And like I said, I've learned a lot and seen a lot and experienced a lot. And I say to people, we have people that come into our lives and people say it to me now. Oh, I haven't spoken to so-and-so for a long time, or so-and-so's not in my life anymore. And I say, but people come and go in your life, and there's a reason. There's usually a reason for that. And again, I'm getting to that age now, as we all do. I haven't got the time or the energy for negativity within my life. So we've had a clear out and a sort out in the house, and I think somebody was talking, Rochelle was talking online to us earlier. She's been having a spring clean today. How wonderful is that? Having a good spring clean, not just of your belongings and that, but sometimes you need to do that within your life. Whether it's in work or friendships or what have you. Sometimes sadly there is those people that can bring us down, that can be negative, and it's so draining. So sometimes, like Eric says, life in this world is too short, and it's too short to get involved in arguments and negativity. And so sometimes you have to, and it can be hard, whether it's work, friends, whatever it may be. And I'm sure we've all done it at times. But sometimes we have to make these tough decisions to move on with our lives. We want our lives to go in a certain direction. We want to go in a certain direction. We want to be happy. We want to be positive. And it's sometimes you have to make those tough calls to get rid of these people from your lives so that you can move on. You can be happy. You don't want to be. How many times have you had these people and you dread the phone calls, or you dread the meeting ups for the coffee, or because it's just going to be negativity, criticism, whatever it may be. But, guys and ladies and gents, life truly is too short. We need to make the most we can. And again, I'm a strong believer. You treat people how you want to be treated, and you never know somebody else's story. So sometimes you may come across somebody, they may be a bit abrupt at times, or they may come across a bit distant, or whatever it may be. But I always say, treat them with kindness, because you don't know their story. You don't know what they're going through. They could be going through hell at that moment in time, and which could explain why they're a bit offish. But do you know what? Just by you being pleasant back to them can make all the difference in the world. I remember a few years ago, I got into some financial difficulties, as we all do from time to time. And I got in a position I physically could not pay my bills. And I remember phoning this company my bank had a loan with. And I remember this lady picked up the phone. She was a little bit stroppy. And I was honest with her, and I said, look, I'm ringing up. I physically cannot afford whatever my payment was. I'd say it was £200 a month. I don't know. I said, at this moment in time, I cannot afford that. However, I can afford maybe £50 a month. I don't know. And she was quite stroppy with me. She goes, well, if you don't pay your loan, we're going to take you to court. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And I said, hang on a minute. I said, listen to what you're saying. And she kind of sort of took a step back. I said, listen to what I phoned up. I've got problems. I want to discuss my problems and have them resolved. I said, you've got on the defensive straight away. You've started having a go at me. You're going to take me to court. You're going to do this. I said, listen to what you've just said. I said, by all means, take me to court. I said, but you'll probably lose, because I've offered, to carry on. I'm not saying I'm not going to pay this loan. I've offered to carry on paying it, but not at the price that you're charging. I said, and if you take me to court, my debt will get written off anyway. So not only will you be losing the money, I said, but it's going to cost you money as well. And I said, look, I'm ringing up to make an offer to you, have a conversation and sort my problems out. That's all I want to do. And you know what? She switched them, completely changed. She offered to sit down and help me. She went through a plan, and we stuck, and we had a laugh after that. And, and then she started to discuss, she had stuff going on in her private life and all that kind of stuff. So it just shows sometimes you don't know who you're dealing with and what they're dealing with. So it always pays, I think, to be nice and pleasant and treat how others how you want to be treated. And I always have a thing within my life, hopefully I come across as a smiley, happy person. And I always try my best to be that. And I never take myself seriously, and I never act serious. And I think sometimes, you see people, and people come into my work, and they've got a serious, I know the first thing I say, what's wrong with you? And I say, oh, blah, blah, well, I'm tired, I'm this, I'm that. And I always say, get over yourself. There's worse things going on in the world. Just crack a smile, have a laugh. Don't take life seriously. Because like I said, and like Eric always reminds us, I think life definitely is too short. And I know many of you, know Scott and Sandra have brought out a book. It came out last week, I think it was, or the week before. And I remember having a conversation with Scott, and I said, what's your reason behind the book? What's your thoughts behind it? And he goes, well, do you know what? He goes, when I pass to the unseen world, I want spiritualism to continue. I want people to experience everything we've experienced in terms of spiritualism. And I know with trance communication more so, it seems to be fizzling out or fading. And I hope it doesn't, but there could be a day in the future that trance mediumship disappears from this world. And when I look back at all the wonders we've had, with Eric speaking and the advice we've had with Eric and the questions we've asked from Eric, and I thought, what a perfect way to capture all of that from Sandra and Scott in a book, on recordings, so it can go on forever. And it truly does remind us, when we leave this earth and go on to the unseen world, we're going to have wonderful experiences. We're going to enjoy so much. We're going to see so much. But my thing is, we need to live for the moment. We need to live for the now. So don't take life seriously. Enjoy every moment, seize every moment, make the most of every opportunity. If that involves being silly, hey, who cares? And sometimes when we're out and about, me and Scott will, yeah, we'll be silly. And Scott will be, people are looking at you. And I'm like, I don't care. But I said, are they looking and laughing or are they looking and crying? And he goes, well, actually, they're laughing. I said, well, there you go. We've brightened up somebody else's day. And that's how I think if we all looked at life like that, imagine how different this world would be. Imagine how better our lives would be. So, ladies and gents, I suppose to wrap up what I'm saying in a nutshell, enjoy your life, make the most of it. And I know some of our loved ones are in the unseen world and they can't be with us here physically. But can you imagine the joy they experience from the unseen world when they see us as their loved ones, laughing and enjoying ourselves? I mean, I'm sure I can imagine John looking down at Sandra when she's on a Disney roller coaster, screaming, with me next to her, hysterically screaming and laughing, you know. And that's what life should be. Life should be a roller coaster of fun and laughter. So make the most of it, ladies and gents. Enjoy life, seize every opportunity. And just think, every smile, every laughter, all those we love in the unseen world can see that. And I'm sure it brings them just as much joy and laughter as if they was here with us today. So thank you for listening to me. And I'm going to hand you over to Mrs. Smiley Sandra herself.
Oh, thank you, Darren, and thank you, Tim. You guys both such wise words that make a difference. It's a pleasure to be with you. What I want to share with you today, first, I've been doing a little project. I've been using artificial intelligence to help create the descriptions for my YouTube videos, all those interviews that I've done. I've never really used artificial intelligence. Somebody recommended it, and there's a Google Gemini that's free. I thought, oh, I'll try that. Gemini's pretty smart. I just upload the transcripts, and in 2 seconds, it'll tell me the keywords, the tags, the description, sample, subject lines, all that. I'm like, I love you, Gemini, whoever you are. I mean, I know it's artificial. I asked Google Gemini yesterday morning, I said, tomorrow's the 15th anniversary of my dad passing. Could you give me an inspirational quote? Now, this artificial intelligence knows me now for all these uploads that I've done. And I want to tell you what it created. Here's this quote. Even the deepest grief can become fertile ground for profound purpose. What feels like an ending can be the unexpected beginning of a journey that touches countless lives. So I know that's artificial intelligence. However, that's one of those times where I think it's inspired by universal intelligence. Gave me goosebumps to read that. And thinking that 15 years ago, Dad took his last breath, I went way downhill, hit rock bottom, started learning about grief, learning more about the afterlife, had the guts to share with a small amount of people. Next thing you know, there's a book. Next thing you know, there's a podcast. And 15 years later, we're meeting now 6 years in with a global Sunday gathering with the coolest folks from all over the world that are participating. Yes, I'm talking about you. And I'm filled with love. I'm filled with purpose. I'm filled with passion. Not every day is a good day because, hey, I'm human. But without Dad going exactly the way he did, we wouldn't be here today. So my message really for my part of the address is I don't think life's meant to be easy. I don't. I think it's growth for our soul. I think every experience we have is another feather we can kind of put in the cap of our soul, new people that we meet, new interactions, those moments where we can love, we can perhaps have that unconditional love, those moments that we can forgive, those moments like Tim mentioned about his mom, having that strength. We never know who we are really until we face the toughest times. And so, as our soul is growing and learning and experiencing, all kinds of good can come out of that. Now, you may not realize the good that's coming out of your hardships right now. And sometimes it really takes looking through a different lens at your life to say, there's got to be something good that comes out of it. I know there are some really terrible things that happen to people on planet Earth, and maybe even to you. I am not of the belief that things happen for a reason. If that empowers you, take it and run with it. I believe that things happen and we can learn from them. We can grow and we can provide strength for another person or strength for ourselves. For Tim to witness the strength of his mom, hey, Tim, you have that strength within you. I've seen it within you, and we don't know who we are, but other people can tell us who we are based on these things that have happened. So I just want you to trust that whatever it is that you're going through now, there's growth for your soul. There's a new experience. You're never going to truly die. Now, our bodies will go, but there'll be a moment we close our eyes and it's like, hey, I'm still here, right? That's going to happen to all of us. But with that, you can look back upon your life and see where all this growth came in and the difference that it made. So yes, you might benefit from the pain and suffering that you've been through, but I want to propose to you that your life here may not be for you. It may be for the people that you're impacting in your life. Hey, what about that? What about that? We go through some tough times. We go through some good times too. But what if everything that's happening, yes, is growth for the soul, but how does it resonate out to the world? I've interviewed hundreds of people who have had near-death experiences, and they tell me that they go through this life review. And it's not scary, and nobody's judging us, but we see our lives and our actions from other people's perspectives. And so if you cause somebody pain, you might feel that. If you say, I could have done something different, you'll experience that. But after that, there's this look at the difference you've made for other people in your lives, and you get to see the ripple effect. We all have heard about this ripple effect, right? One little action can make such a difference, that pay it forward. So as we operate through our lives, take on that thought, the ripple effect. I have this daily calendar usually near me every day. I see it first thing in the morning. Today's says the greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another. We can, my friends, call ourselves victims. And there are true victims of terrible things that are happening. I'm not speaking about that, but I'm speaking about times where nobody will ever love me. Oh, I'm getting old. Oh, too many gray hairs. Oh, like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. all that negative talk, right? That can happen. Oh, I'm a victim. Nobody will ever love me. Oh, this didn't work out. I don't have enough money in my bank account, whatever that may be. But our thoughts, which are real things, can put us in another direction. Hey, maybe this is a good place for me because I'm going to learn something or I'm going to meet somebody. We can become responsible for our lives. I've heard it said, if you're driving down the road and you need to be at a meeting, and then all of a sudden there's a tree that had fallen and it's in your path, and you could be so angry at that tree, but you could have said, hey, I could have chose to take a different route and I took this one. Put you back in the driver's seat of responsibility. So I want to leave you with this. You may not be here on planet Earth quite for the reason you think. Are you going to experience something devastating? I hope not. But I never in 1,000 years would have ever imagined I'd be here on the Sunday gatherings, having 700 plus podcast episodes, a best-selling book, the best friends in the world, the best communities in the world from something terrible that happened. So be open that there's something great around the corner. Use whatever you're going through, just change your thoughts. There's going to be something good that comes out of this. And if all else fails, the best recipe for success and happiness is keep your eye on other people. Any time you can make a difference for somebody, small or large, it's going to give you life. It's going to give you passion. It's going to give you joy. Look for those pay it forward moments, those little surprises that you can do. It helps get the mind off of you and onto someone else. And so that moment you have your life review and you see that ripple effect, you'll go, oh my goodness, I didn't do it. Too bad. So that's what I want for everybody. I truly do. So that's going to sum it up for me. Again, a little shout out to my dad, John Champlain, and my mom, Marion Champlain. Without the two of them, we wouldn't be here either. So to my parents. Okay, we're going to move on to our demonstration of mediumship now. And this is just an opportunity just to see how close our loved ones truly are and that they're still part of our life, and to know that there's a bigger picture and we will go on, we will see them again. So we always invite a cool, fabulous medium to be with us. And today we have Tim, and we're so grateful. Tim will request in his own way that those in the spirit world who will wish to work with him, that they do so. He is a product of our teachings with Carrie McLeod and Phil Dykes, our medium tutors for We Don't Die. So he'll look within his feelings, and it seems kind of counterintuitive because we always think they come in through our thoughts, but we start with our feelings. But those in the unseen world, our loved ones, will choose to present themselves to Tim in their own various ways. So you will hear Tim first and foremost give a description of the spirit person who has connected with him. Now, these people, they're going to be loved ones. They're going to be friends. They may be somebody you worked with, might be somebody a little distant. So you really need to be on the edge of your seat listening. Do you recognize this person? So he'll give the description, and we want everybody on the edge of your seat, and we want you to really listen in. Do you know this person? Now, the one thing they have in common is they're no longer walking this earth. So if he gives a description that sounds like your brother in the next room, don't press your raise hand button. Okay, we're looking for people that have passed from this world. And I mentioned that raise hand button, and I love this each and every week. Where is that raise hand button, Sandra? Well, you want to look? I want everybody to go find that raise hand button and press it for me, because that's going to be the thing to let us know that you can recognize the spirit person that Tim has described. All right. So what often happens, or sometimes happens, is more than one person can take all the information. So Tim, or whatever medium we have on, will continue to work, giving more details of evidence. And we want everybody listening in. So if it no longer applies to you, you'll notice that that raise hand button has now changed to lower hand. How great is that? So now you want to press that lower hand button and take your hand down. So in a perfect world, on a perfect Sunday gathering, we are left with one person with their hand left raised, and I will press a button on this side that says whatever it says, unmute. Yeah. And you'll get a pop-up on your screen that asks you to press the unmute button. Now, you don't see that button yet. You'll only see that when I press this button on this side. We will not see you, but we like to hear you. And when I say we like to hear you, we only like hearing one of three responses. Whether you're on our Sunday gathering, whether you're one-on-one with a medium, or you're at a demonstration, it's so vitally important you let the medium do the work. So let them deliver bits of evidence, and all we need from you is either yes, no, or I don't know. All right, to the information that they give, not just for you, but for everybody with us today. It's so important that we know that the mediums truly are working with people in the unseen world, that we're not volunteering all this information. This is often a time where people think, oh, I hope my loved one comes through. Well, no, we usually have about 150 people on. So your loved one might, but they also might not. But I 100% believe, just like hopefully my words and Tim's words and Darren's words made a difference from the address, that those who step forward during our medium demonstration, they're here for all of us. Yes, they'll give some evidence to their loved one, and there's usually a message within those. But if you listen close enough and you pull those readings towards you, you might think, hey, I could use a little of that myself. So I love to say that our spirit friends are just panelists on Zoom from the other side. So please, if your loved one doesn't come through, don't take this time to tune out of the Sunday gathering. No, think this person in the spirit world has come through because there's a message in this for me too. So pull it towards you and really listen in just how close they are. They're an active part of our lives. Certainly they continue to grow and learn and do what they want in the spirit world, but they're easily right here with us. So pull those messages towards you. Okay. So yes, no, and I don't know for anyone who works with our medium. And what we always like to do is play a feel-good piece of music before we do the demonstration. So Tim has picked this song, and it's perfect for Mother's Day. So while the song's playing, any happy thoughts you want, any memories, any happy memories, whether it's a mom, dad, whoever your favorite person is, or a great time that you were snuggling the kitties or the dogs, whatever that may be. Just you can imagine your loved ones right here with us. And of course, they work through our imagination. So they're with us. So you can see them standing with you. So here's our song, and then we'll be right back with the demonstration with Tim. And happy Mother's Day, if I haven't mentioned that lately. Beautiful song. Thank you for that, Tim.
You're very welcome. Actually, I was lucky to just kind of fall across that this week. It's a beautiful song. Yeah. And thank you for the introduction as well, because I don't need to talk about yes, no, and I don't know, which is great because it is so tempting once you get a loved one coming in to want to explain more and more and more. But if I do happen to come to you, then yeah, if you can stick to that, that's even better. It's such more powerful, I feel, when your spirit person's delivering the information to you. So that's fantastic. And as it just as the concentration goes to one side here, I do feel I have a mum that is with us in spirit. No surprise, because I think a lot of us are thinking of mums. Now, there's a memory mum is sharing about, okay, frozen peas cooked on an oven, and she's being very specific, adding a certain amount of water, but cooking peas fresh and or frozen, usually frozen, was something that she did frequently. So I'm getting the sense from Mom that she would have taken a little bit of ribbing for the amount of time the family always had peas. It's quite good, and actually, yeah, they're flavorful as well. She's going further on, so. I'm going to stop there for a second and see if we have
All
someone
right.
who goes right off the bat there.
If you can understand this, raise your hand. And we have Sheila, who his hand went right up with his P talk. Sheila, just
Hi,
press your
Sheila.
unmute button, please, Sheila. Oh, Sheila, was it an accident that you pressed the raise hand button?
It may be.
It could be. That happens. We get so excited.
Just the thought of peas will do it, I think.
Yeah, I know. It's what happens to me. All right, Sheila, you are not unmuting yourself. So I'm thinking it was an accident that you pressed your raise hand button. So back to everybody.
Okay. So, because I do know too that peas were a staple of just sticking there for a second there with Sunday dinner. That was almost a guarantee because she has that nice pat of butter. She was also giving that too.
All
We'll see
right, we've
how
got
that.
another Sheila with her hand raised. Let's
Okay.
try this. Christina, we see you too. Sheila, could you press your unmute button? Hi, Sheila. Are you there, Sheila? Oh, this is going to be Technology Sunday.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's not the first time.
I know. Sheila F., I know you are unmuted, but we cannot hear your voice. We're going to go over to Christina. Oops, try that again, Christina. Hi, Christina.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Can you
Hi,
understand this information?
Yes, actually, I can take both informations.
Okay, all that
Peace
information
and
so far.
Sunday dinners. Yes.
Yes. Okay, great. So I'm going to work with you. Our Sheilas, who are, sounds like we're talking Australian here, but our Sheilas, if they could be listening in the background just in case, and you could also use the chat room if you can't get through. So Christina, I do know you, but this is evidence I've not seen or picked up before with you.
Yes.
Now, she really wants me to stick with the peas on the table in fine china on a
Yes.
Sunday dinner.
Yes.
So Sundays always had the fine dinner, and it's. I know with her meals, they were very consistent. She had it down to a certain art.
Yes.
Because she's drawing me to the one pat, and you'd never do any more than that. One pat of butter on the top of the peas.
Yes.
And it feels like she would have the table set and everything would be looking perfect, smelling perfect too, and before the family was called in.
Correct.
Yeah. And not sure if you can, I have a clock going off in my background here. I'm not sure if you can hear that. Um, okay. So from mom and that clock going off, she's letting me know that she was also someone who was timely. She was always on the dot.
Yes.
She wasn't, and to be precise there, she wasn't, if she could avoid it, not late, not early. In fact, I feel from her that she would be a little, not antsy, but she did not like it when somebody would show up early, especially extra early, or late.
Yes.
You had to be on time or else you'd hear from her. And I feel especially family, you would definitely hear from her
Yes.
sitting up. And she's letting me know too that if that was the case, if someone did come up late for dinner, they're the ones who are cleaning up the plates.
We all were.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
But and as much as that sounds a little bit like ruling with an iron fist, that was not her at all. I feel that there's a lot of love, a lot of there's a nice sense of humor I think I want to get into here from mom. Mom had a good sense of humor.
Yes, she did.
And I feel it could be quite sharp and witty at times.
Yes.
And just she's giving it to me bit by bit because I think this is important to her. And I feel, okay, she also is relaying that it was always meant with love, but here comes the but she could really get to the heart of the person she was kidding.
Yes.
So it feels from her that she's saying there was two parts of it. Yes, it was, she didn't really care. It didn't really mean a whole lot to her. But on the other hand, don't let it happen again. That sort of thing.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Now she is also okay. Feeling too that we've jumped to cleaning out the house. So there was a time there where mom had to downsize quite a bit. I'll take that back actually before you even say anything. Not downsize, but she had to go through a house cleaning and get rid of a number of prized heirlooms.
No,
No, okay. If
it's
that's
not.
not her, then that would be you who had to do it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't believe she was on this plane when that happened. I believe she was already in spirit.
Correct.
Yeah, so she's bringing that forward. And there must have been things, there were things, in fact, that were tied in with her and her memories.
Yes.
And those were tugging at your heart, she's relaying.
Yes.
And she was there with you and knowing what that felt like and just was sharing those emotions with you at that time.
Yes. Thank you.
Now she doesn't want me to leave that clock alone either. So I feel like there must be a clock that was passed down to you.
A watch.
A watch, okay. And it's the watch, although it has some value monetary to it, I feel that that's more about emotional quality. There's a
Yes.
lot, yeah, there's a lot of memories that go with that. Um, and she's also relaying another watch that has a blue face.
Yes. I understand.
You understand that? Yeah.
Yes.
That belongs to your husband. Does that make sense?
No.
No. Okay. Because I feel there's a gentleman attached to
Yes.
this
Yes,
watch.
it is.
Okay.
A
And this is
gentleman.
from Dad. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Um, and I know there's a lot of sentimental value with that as well.
Correct.
Yeah. So um, it's very interesting. Mom's bringing all these elements in. Um, and we talked about from your mom that you did have to downsize. I feel like she's implying there's more downsizing that's coming. Are you that you're
Yes.
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 And that's tugging at the thought of that is tugging at your heart.
Very much.
Yeah, and from mom too, it feels like some of those heirlooms they would come from another country also.
Yes.
Yeah, and you don't want to dispose of them. You don't want to have to give them up because they are a connection to that country.
Correct.
Mom's here to say that she is with you in those hard to make decisions. She's inferring that when it's a tough decision whether to or not store, not store, give away, just ask her. She'll be there. She'll be there for guidance.
Thank you very much, Tim.
Yep. And
Thank
thank
you
you.
very much.
Thank you for
Means a lot. Thank
good,
you.
good. And thanks to your mom too.
Thank you.
Okay. Oop. So in comes our next person. You never know. Sometimes there's a time lag, and sometimes they're in there like I don't know what expression is. My mind's in the spirit world. So like Flint. There we go. Whoever that was. Okay. Hey, I'm just trying to get relationship here. I know what they're showing me. So I know I have a gentleman here, and okay. So I believe this is mom's brother, and there would have been card games that would have happened within the family, and it would have been included mom and this brother in the spirit world. So this is your uncle here. Okay, I'm going to try just that much and see how far we get, if there's anyone who can take that information. So it's an uncle in spirit, mom's brother, who used to play cards along with mom and family members, playing cards.
Okay, thank you. If you can understand that information, press your raise hand button, please. Memories of uncle and mom playing cards with the family. No hands raised?
No hands. Okay. I want to go back to
Hmm.
relationship because I feel that's the area that was needed a bit more examining here. Okay. So I want to drop the relationship between that gentleman and mom, but I do know I have uncle in spirit who used to play cards in the family with your parents.
Thank you very much. Who can understand this information? Jay has his hand raised. Let's talk to Jay. If you
Hello,
could unmute
Jay.
yourself, Jay. Hi, Jay.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Good.
We were big card players, so you know,
Okay.
I
Okay.
think it could be me.
Great. Okay. Just hang on and make sure it's yes, no, I don't know, but thanks for the
Right.
information that you did there. That was great. Okay. So as I get to know your uncle a bit more, it's funny, I don't feel as if there's a great deal of when the adults were playing, and the kids were on their own.
Yeah, probably. Yep.
Okay. Probably as I sometimes take as a no. So I'm going to ask Uncle to give us something a little bit more along those lines. Because I know Uncle, the card games felt like it was a lot of fun, but these were serious things. Like you didn't mess around with the rules.
Right. I can take that actually. Yeah.
Okay. Um, and I want to go back to the closeness between Uncle and Mom. So there was a closeness to them.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. And Mom's here still with us.
No.
Okay. I just want to double check if there's anyone else in the group who can take this information, who are listening. Hang on, Jay, for just a second.
All right. Mary has her hand raised. Let's just check in with Mary. Mary. Hi, Mary.
I can take some of it, but my mom is on the other side.
As well. Okay. Hang on, Jay, for a second. Mary, I want to go back to the beginning where this would be Uncle that was Mom's brother.
Possibly, yep.
Okay. And also the separation between the adults playing the game and while the kids were entirely doing something else.
That's true.
Okay. Mary, if I could work with you a little bit, that's feeling a little bit better. Jay, keep listening though. Okay, so Mary, I do want to mention that between Uncle and Mom, there was a kinship. There was a closeness that they were pretty close together.
Yes, they were, but I think they fought as kids. But yes.
Yeah, as the adults is yeah, who hasn't in a way, but okay, we'll see what that's about. And I want to say the cards were a serious thing, so I feel like Uncle knew how to have fun, but when it came to day, he was definitely a very serious man.
I think that's true.
Okay. Um, Okay, it keeps drawing me back to the cards because the cards seem to be a very important thing of this. Um, okay, so the card game did involve, and it feels like whatever they were playing did involve like pennies, like nothing of significant amount of money, but there was actually little markers or pennies involved in that game.
Possibly. It's hard to remember, but it would be pennies, nothing higher.
Yeah, yeah, because I don't feel Uncle would have been a gambler. Instead, I feel that he was a man that minded his P's and Q's. He was careful about what he said.
I'd say that's true. He wasn't a big talker.
Right. There's a sense of him giving people respect and not being one to push the envelope. Non-confrontational.
I don't know about that.
Okay. Now, when I get to non-confrontational, yes, that feels a little. Okay. So leave non-confrontational. We'll come back to that. It's that assertiveness. That assertiveness was only there when it absolutely had to be.
That's probably true.
Okay. Because I feel that he didn't have that side of him with the family because he was comfortable with the family. He would speak.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. And I am getting a sense from your uncle too that he was quite a bit different than your father. There's quite a different personality between them.
I'd say so. From
Um,
what I knew.
yeah, and if I go there, the likes were a bit different, and how they their ability to express themselves was definitely different.
Probably. I was pretty young,
They
so.
were pretty young. Okay.
Tim, I don't want to interrupt, but Rochelle in the chat box says she can also take all of the information.
She can take, okay, so Mary, if you could hang on for a second and we'll have Rochelle.
Rochelle, if you could press your unmute.
It's always
Mary,
interesting how there's some similarities.
Hi, Sandra. Hi, Tim.
Hi, Rochelle, and you can take everything that's been mentioned so far.
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to go back and review some because some things were really important there. And that was the relationship between himself and your mom. They got along
Yes,
It felt like there was
very well.
yeah, there was an understanding between them almost that didn't need to be spoken. Would you understand that? They could understand
Yes, very
where
much
the
so.
other was coming from. Okay. And I also feel that these family get-togethers could be a whole lot of fun for the adults, but the kids were in the other room.
Definitely.
Yeah, there was some interaction in there, but now I'm also and sometimes there'd be a little bit of alcohol involved, not excessive.
Yeah, it came from an Irish family, so
Okay.
without
Okay,
a
great.
doubt.
Because it must have been a family that loved beer because that's exactly what I saw. Yeah, but that's great. And I also feel that there was okay, your uncle's personality typically isn't like when he was playing cards because I feel that's where you could see him energetic, expressive, quite dynamic, and that's just the energy was so great during those games.
Yes, quite
Yeah.
competitive. Yes.
Yeah, okay. And then when you pull him out of that environment, he sort of becomes normal. He's implying standardized. I'm not quite sure what that means. But he would be his
Yes, quite a
typical,
quiet man.
yeah, lower key, yeah, gentleman. I also feel his sense of humor, it might be he's kind of being funny right now. It might be an hour, a day, or even a week after what he said actually you got the meaning of.
I can take that.
Yeah, because there seems to be a double edge there, and he's implying that it's a family trait. So I don't know about this yet, but he's implying that, yeah, we'll make a joke about it, but there's something, it's kind of like with Christina, there's something in that besides just that funniness. There's a little jab.
Yes.
Yeah, it
Can take
feels
that.
though it's a fine line, mind you, but there's a fine line between, digging up old, old negative feelings. There's a fine line before getting there, but definitely not a fear of touching upon those. Not sure if you understand what I mean there.
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
I
because
do exactly. Yeah.
yeah, it's okay. This is from him. It's okay to pick at the scab, but you don't want to make it bleed. Sorry, that's a little graphic, but that's exactly where he was. Yeah. So I feel he's on this side of using language we couldn't use on today, but definitely he would say what's going through his mind.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Now there's it's okay. There's a similarity he's suggesting between you and mom, a similarity of looks and also the way that you kind of view the world. Would you understand that?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Because he's
Yes,
sort of
exactly.
reflecting okay. The way he would be with your mom, kibitzing with your mom, he could do with you too. He didn't do it as often though. That just didn't happen.
Yes, I think that's fair to say. Yeah.
Because it seems like with mom, we can have this back and forth, because the personalities just went so well together. And with you, it would have, because you're like your mom, it just didn't have the opportunity to. You'd understand?
Yes, very much. Yeah.
Okay, because he's coming in here with his message
Definitely.
about how you're able to look at what's beyond the grander picture. You're able to look at the grander picture and not let it bother you, the finer details. Because he's alluding to a tendency to overanalyze and pick things apart, but you're working on being able to take a step back and see the bigger picture. And he's implying that you are great at that kind of thing. And your mom was exactly the same. Can you take that information?
Yeah, thank you. I can take that. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
he's watching. Not just implying. He's kind of pounding on the door here, saying he sees what's going on in your life, and he's with you a lot, probably a lot more than you would realize. But he's there for support, and just that same love that showered to mom. He has that kind of natural brotherly love showering on yourself as well. He is there around you. So
Oh,
thank
thank you.
you.
That's very kind.
You're welcome. Thank you, Rochelle, for speaking up. I knew we'd get to the right person. It was really close to others, but yeah, thank you, Rochelle.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
And
you.
thanks to your uncle, too.
Tim, you want to do one more?
Sure, sounds good.
Thanks, Rochelle.
Okay. I feel I'm moving to brother in spirit, actually, looking for sister here. And I feel that as brother, you would see me most often in hoodies. I hope that translates for everybody. Um, I also feel that my sister would be aware that I should have spoke up more and I didn't speak up enough. I also feel as if I kept a lot of stuff the family didn't know about to myself. And I just want to stop there for a second.
All right. Thank you. If you can understand that, press your raise hand button. We have Carolyn with her hand raised. Carolyn, if you could press your unmute button. Hi, Carolyn.
Hi, Sandra. My daughter's here, and her name's Leanne, and it's her brother.
Her brother, you feel okay. Let's work with that because yeah, okay, that's great. Okay, I do feel there's that great love of the hoodies because it feels like you would see me day and night, and even sometimes in my own room with the hoodie zipped up and just hands in pocket.
Yes.
Okay. And I want to go back to the fact that not passing along some of the things that were happening externally that weren't known in the family, because this isn't quite so evidential, but unless you became aware of this after, um, it may also speak of his personality. He was one that didn't like to make the family feel bad.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to ruffle feathers as him. I would rather try to deal with it myself, no matter how huge it would be.
Yeah. He kept a lot of stuff to himself.
Right. Now, I am getting a sense that he did have some friends that would be aware of some of this that was going on, but nobody really knew all the pieces of the puzzle.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, he's referring a lot to a friend that he had, and this friend, usually I don't do physical descriptions, but this friend is a bigger kind of guy who, like I feel, well, bigger than your son and brother. And I feel that he is taller and broader shouldered than I am. You're aware of this friend of his?
Yes.
Okay. That seems to be the friend that I would confide in the most.
Yeah.
Okay. Because he's impressing that if possible, and I know within families, sometimes it's hard to relay things outwards, but it feels like that gentleman, that peer, also struggled with his passing.
Yes.
He wants him to know that it's all okay. It's really important to your son, brother, that there's nothing more that he could have done. I feel from your son and brother that I wanted him to know, but not to step in.
Sure.
And if that's possible to relay to him, I feel that's really important. And he wants to talk about that first. He also wants to talk about you guys. Because I feel that there was stuff that was found in my room after I passed that indicated what was going on with me.
Yes.
Okay. Deliberately kept secret. He's mentioning this part because he's implying that there was some guilt attached that should have been, we should have known. But he's saying again that that was deliberate to himself. He wanted to try to solve his problems.
Okay.
Okay. And you're okay if I keep going, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to check there too. He's coming in quite strongly here. Now he's bringing forth habit that he used to have with his shoes or his feet. There is some sort of quirkiness, even he's using that quirkiness with
Yes.
the way the shoes and the feet had to be done. You would understand that.
Yes.
Okay. And he's just okay. And he's saying at this point specifically, he appreciates, he's starting with mom, he's appreciating what you did above and beyond the call of duty. So I feel like you did step in and you did a lot for him that he needed.
Yes.
And I feel from him, he didn't get that chance to actually acknowledge because he kept his emotions and his thankfulness to himself. He's wanting to relay that the things that you're aware of, he took stock in that. That's what helped him through a great deal of what was going on. Your example to him, Mom, was what allowed him to be around as long as he could.
Oh.
That's really important that you know that. He's implying, he's giving me the feeling that had that not taken place, he's using the word surrender. There would have been surrender from him earlier.
Yes.
And that he wants to stay with mom here too before he goes to sister. And sorry, I might be going a little longer, but I feel this is really important. We have him here. There's things, mom, that you did that small gestures that you did that helped him get through that day. Just even the one small gesture, the smile, the nod, and even when he pushed back about being nosy, you would understand that expression
Yes.
from him. Yeah. He verbalized nosy. He felt caring and concern.
Oh.
So knowing that he definitely understands that now, but even at the time, he was aware what role you were playing and how important that was. And he's bouncing now to sister too. Because I feel that with sister, he talked about some things that he didn't talk to about with mom.
Yes.
Yes. Because there's a little bit more, it's peer, of course. So there's a little bit more understanding of my situation, how this came about.
Yes.
And again, much like his friend, although I don't think he requested this, the feeling is keep this between us. Let me work this through. And he's implying that's really important because of the feeling that, again, like his friend, I maybe should have spoke up. I maybe should have acted a little bit sooner. Would you understand that information?
Yes.
Okay. So as a total here, he's definitely for all three of you that he wants to talk to. He's implying, of course, that it happened the way it needed to for his development.
Okay.
What you did was really beyond the call. He never got to say that. He rarely expressed that, I feel. But it absolutely helped him get through what he had to. It feels, this is a bit different. It's coming from him that it feels as if he had to do this in the grand scheme of things. He wants that presented to you to sort of change a mindset. He had to accomplish and get as far as he did. And I do feel he's very thankful that he got to go even a little further time being with you guys. Just that extra time that he might not have had.
Thank you.
It means so much to him. And with sister, I feel he's bringing up a relationship, a current relationship, and saying that he's there, looking out for you like a big brother should. Not sure if you can understand that.
Yes.
Okay. And the last thing he's got here is two things. Please do talk to his friend if that's something that's possible. But the other is he's always with you.
Oh.
And that's interesting because he's implying that you've wondered, you've thought that, and then you backed off from that. He's saying yes.
Yeah, because I've thought I smelled him, as weird as that sounds, or felt him.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, you're being crazy. And then other times I'll feel him again, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just, you start questioning, are you really, is this real? But I've smelled him, especially if I'm like upset, I can smell it. I can't explain it.
And if you felt, he's giving me an implication here of either tugging on your sleeve or that stroke on your arm, then that's also confirmation. The smelling, absolutely. They will go to great lengths and a lot of energy to get through to us in that way. He's there. He's always there. As Sandra would say, they never leave us. We continue on, and he will be around. Just call, just ask, just think, and he's there.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you both. Thank you, and thanks to this young man. And thank you, Sandra. Thanks very much for allowing me to do that and to serve spirit.
Thank you very much, Tim. That's why we do this, ladies and gentlemen. Our loved ones all can't come through, but just to know within each one of those readings that they're right here with us. We can continue to talk to them. They will do everything they can to let us know that they're here. Sometimes our busy minds are just so busy that we may not be present, but anytime you're in that present moment, and sometimes whether it's a smell or you might get a shared memory that comes in out of the blue, those little calling cards that say, we're right here with you. Someday we're going to all be back together with our loved ones, but our life is for a reason. It truly is. We just want to always give you some tools. If you do not yet have a copy of my book and you want to read it, chapter 10 is about grief. I know a lot of people, you're experiencing that right now. If you've ever taken a class with us, you already have my book and audio book in your library at wedon'tdie.com. But if you don't, at the bottom of the page at wedon'tdie.com, it says enter your name and your email address. You get the first few chapters. The secret is it's the entire book. Fast forward to chapter 10, gives some really good information about the grieving process, things to help you move through, and so much more. Also on that main page, geez, I have well over 700 hours of episodes. My most recent episode with Shades of the Afterlife is a dad, Mark Ireland, whose son is in the spirit world, and he's got some really wonderful things to share, how he knows of the connection with his son. So lots of good things at the wedon'tdie.com website. You can reach Tim if you'd like at psychicmediumtim.com is his website. Also, we've got some great things coming up. We've got a Thursday class with our friends Carrie McLeod and Phil Dykes on mediumship. It's called The Gentle Path to Spirit. All are welcome for that. Our new class, Trance in the Altered States with Scott Milligan and myself, begins on the 19th of May. Next Sunday, Carrie and Phil are back with us for our Sunday gathering. On the 23rd of May, Scott is back for In the Arms of Eternity. Darren had mentioned our new book that we put together. Yes, Conversations with Eric is what it's called. We'll be back to have another extraordinary conversation and a trance demonstration on the 23rd of May. Our friends Kath and Mitch Shirley will be back on the 29th of May doing their free Grief Cafe. It's a wonderful experience to be with others, and they're both advanced grief recovery experts, and they're both mediums. So it's very healing. It's very, very special. On the 1st of June, after our Sunday gathering, medium Chris Jacobs is back for a 90-minute medium demonstration. And the last thing I want to share is if you want to meet Darren live and in person in Orlando, he will be with Scott Milligan, with Dominic Bogue and others, as an afterlife retreat, June 4th through 8th, Orlando, Florida. Beautiful resort. And it's called Touching Eternity. So go to wedon'tdie.com. You can click on the store page, or you click on the Scott Milligan page to find out more about that. They'll also be in Scotland in September and in the Netherlands in November. So there's good things coming up, all at the wedon'tdie.com website. Last thing I want to mention as part of our announcements is we have some very special people who have made this Sunday gathering possible. We have some members of our community who have donated. Everything gets expensive online here to keep up the upkeep of all the computers and the system and the Zoom and all that stuff. So for those of you who have donated to make it possible, thank you. On our Sunday gathering page at wedon'tdie.com, you can find the donation button should you choose to donate, but you can also find registration links for upcoming Sunday gatherings and replay links for past Sunday gatherings. It's important to stay plugged in, whether it's a good book, podcast episode, watching a past Sunday gathering. It's very difficult to go through life, and we don't want you to go through it alone. We're always here for you. Just a few final notes. I'm really thinking of Tim with the strength. Life is tough. We are strong. We are so much stronger than we know. So take that. And I'm thinking about Darren and his message that life is so short, really. Live it. This life here is just a thread in the fabric of our soul. I love that. It goes by real quick. Do what matters to you. Be with the people you love. Don't sweat the small stuff. And for me, your loved ones are around you, as we just saw. They're around. They're part of our lives. Please know the tough stuff we're going through, it makes a difference. Somewhere, somehow, you will make a difference with another if you haven't already, and you're getting tremendous soul growth. So that's about the tough stuff, but the good stuff, there's always a way to make lasting memories, do something new with someone you love. And that's the recipe for a long-lasting memory. So with that, as we're coming to the close of our Sunday gathering, I want to turn it over to Tim for our closing prayer. And we have one more song, and some of you might recognize some people in the closing video. Over to you, Tim.
Thanks, Sandra, and Darren, who you'll be able to see live in Florida. That'll be fantastic. So as we bring this to a close, let us close our eyes and give our thoughts collectively to where we are, where we have been, and where we want to be, and knowing that our loved ones are there with us every step of the way. They're just a thought away, and those thoughts are things. And as we look upon others, we think positively about them, that bounces back to us. When we're in need, the people in our spirit world that we know are there for us. They're there to support us. And as we venture into this coming week, may we find those thoughts, those wishes, and the strength to continue each day in the best way that we can. Amen.
Thank you so much, Tim. And thank you, Darren. For our closing song, it's a Mother's Day song from the three Heath brothers. And way back when we first started the Sunday gathering, and I had all this time, we were in lockdown, members of our community sent pictures of their moms. So I put together a slideshow. So midway through this song, you're going to see a slideshow of some beautiful ladies. You might have your mom be part of it if you were here several years ago. I'll do another one another time, but enjoy this because it just brings about the love of our moms. Well, everyone, that concludes our Sunday gathering, Mother's Day edition, and more. Thanks again to Tim and Darren. Love you guys. It was beautiful. Thank you to everyone in our community, and thank you to our loved ones in the unseen world. Although we can't write back to every message in the chat box, thank you. We've read them all. Mwah. We love you all. We'll see you next Sunday, if not before. Bye, everyone.